And welcome back. It is time for the Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. And Pat, we want to talk presidential politics here. Obviously, this past week we saw Rick Santorum on Super Tuesday take Oklahoma. But Mitt Romney surged to a pretty strong second-place finish. What does all this say about Oklahoma voters?
In a way, both of those and the third-place finish of Gingrich, where you pretty much have one-third, one-third, one-third in terms of the delegate numbers. I think Santorum has a one-delegate advantage over Romney. It pretty much reaffirmed what the Sooner poll and other indications were showing. Oklahomans were drawn to Gingrich's substance and, experience. They were drawn to Romney's steadiness and his ability, many people believe, to beat Obama in November, President Obama, and then finally, in the case of Santorum, very drawn to his mix of both economic and cultural conservatism. So it, in a lot of ways, simply ratified that. Now, big win for Santorum, don't get me wrong, 5%. He dropped a little compared to a Sooner poll showing, and Romney surged a little. Bottom line is Santorum invested time and energy here, gave a couple of strong conservative speeches, Oklahoma City and Tulsa both, did what you needed to do to win in Oklahoma.
Of course, we know that Oklahoma wasn't the only state in play on Super Tuesday. With that in mind, what was maybe the biggest surprise for you on Super Tuesday?
Well, in the broader picture, I want to leap outside of Oklahoma just for half a second. Alaska, where Romney won, and Ron Paul finished third, surprised me. Santorum finished second. And there was a lot of handicapping even the weekend. About a week ago when we talked, and the national pundits were saying Ron Paul probably had a good chance to win Alaska. Well, both Santorum and Romney beat him, with Romney taking the state. That was a big surprise. Almost equal to it in Republican terms was the collapse of Ron Paul in Oklahoma to under 10%. There might be some internal divisions that account for that, but regardless, not Ron Paul himself, but divisions among some of his supporters, that really surprised me. They're a strong force in Oklahoma politics in the Republican Party, and I was surprised, candidly, that they fell that far.
So what do you see being the overall impact of Super Tuesday on the GOP? Romney's in the driver's seat. And he's continued to win with all the criticisms and analysis in a very competitive field of substantive human beings. He is getting 65% of the total delegates, just kind of steadily. Gingrich said Gingrich made an analogy after the Georgia results were in, where he did win, that he's like the tortoise. Well, I kind of see Romney as a tortoise, just methodically, meticulously, and carefully doing what you need to do in a very unusual year. So I think Romney's in the driver's seat, but Santorum is fighting. Let's talk about the Democrats. And President Obama did well in the state's 1st and 5th congressional districts, but maybe the bigger story is that he did not do very well, under 50% in a couple of the other congressional districts. What does this say about his support in Oklahoma?
I think his support is pretty strong among Democrats. The problem is that only 11.9% voted. The absolute turnout was roughly 300,000. Forgive me if I'm a little off, 20,000 one way or the other on that, but it's 300,000 voters fewer in the Democratic primary this year compared to 2008. Now, it's true, quote-unquote, easy race, except the problem with an easy race, if only 11.9% show up, is that you can get bit in the rear. And that's what happened to the president. And the blame for that, I think, is more with the national folks who have lots of money and didn't devote any of it to speak of to Oklahoma. That turned out to be a mistake because, as you noted, 2nd District, we call it the Eastern Seaboard sometimes of Oklahoma, because it's the entire up and down in eastern Oklahoma is now the 2nd District, a little different than the traditional configuration. Dan Boren, Democrat, conservative Democrat, but still a Democrat, the only one in the delegation. Obama got less than 50% in that district. Randall Terry performed very well there, and in the 3rd District, the far west as well.
And do you see Randall Terry or Jim Rogers actually getting delegates to the national convention?
Yeah, it looks to me like Randall Terry has earned a delegate under the rules, and possibly Jim Rogers. So watch that space, because this was something that didn't have to happen, but it did.
All right. Well, you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great Saturday.